Here's another kind of common sense many of us live by without ever questioning it. That is, if something feels bad inside us, if something is tense or unresolved, if we can't quite relax, the relief must come once the situation changes, once the problem is solved, once the issue is resolved, once the conversation goes better, or once the other person finally understands. It's a very reasonable belief, and it quietly shapes how we move through almost everything. When we're uncomfortable inside, we tend to look outward. We look at the context, the circumstances, the people involved. We replay what's happened. We explain it. We talk it through. Not because we enjoy complaining, but because we want relief from the experience of what we're feeling. Complaining is often misunderstood. It's not just negativity. It's not just venting. It's not just a habit. It's a bid for relief. We hope that by saying it out loud, some of our internal pressure will release. We hope that someone else will see it the way we do and confirm that we're not imagining things. And sometimes we hope that if we talk long enough, the missing detail will finally appear and everything will settle. That's the logic. And for a moment, it can work. There's a brief easing when someone agrees with us, a moment of settling when we feel understood, a sense that we're not alone. But it rarely lasts, because the relief we're looking for doesn't actually live in the situation. That can be hard to hear, especially when the situation really is difficult or unfair or exhausting. This isn't about pretending otherwise. Still, there's an important distinction here. Situations can trigger discomfort, but the discomfort itself is an experience happening inside us. And when we believe relief can only come from resolving what's outside, we quietly give away a kind of authority we don't realize we have. This is where things get subtle. Because most of us aren't just talking to feel better. We're talking because we don't know what else to do with what we're feeling. We were never taught how to stay with experience directly. So we do the next best thing. We explain it. We analyze it. We organize it into story. Story gives shape. Story gives meaning. Story gives the nervous system something to hold on to. But story also keeps our attention outside ourselves. There's another habit that often sits right alongside complaining. That is, trying to be rational. We tell ourselves, it's not that bad. I shouldn't feel this way. I just need to think this through. If I could understand this, I'll be fine. So we keep the focus on logic, on strategy, on positioning. What's the right response? What's the smartest move? How do I protect myself here? All of that can be useful. And yet none of it actually resolves the experience underneath. There's another belief many of us carry, that talking it through is inherently healthy. If we can just process it enough, we'll get to the other side. And again, sometimes that helps, but often it just keeps us looping. Because talking about an experience is not the same thing as being with it. And most of us were never shown how to be with it. There's also a quieter rule that runs underneath all of this. Strong people move on. They don't linger. They don't dwell. They don't let things get to them. So when something hurts, we tighten. We suppress. We push through. We keep going. And then we judge ourselves when the discomfort doesn't actually go away. And finally, there's one more belief that sneaks in once we're tired of trying. If I can't change it, I should accept it. That sounds wise. But often, it really means resignation. We stop trying to resolve the experience, and instead, we focus on winning and losing. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who has power? Who doesn't? Now the situation becomes a battleground, and our inner life gets quieter and quieter. All of these habits make sense. They're intelligent responses to a world that didn't teach us how to stay with experience. None of this means you're doing anything wrong. It just means you're human. Here's the turn. What if what you're really looking for isn't resolution at all? What if what you really want is relief? And what if relief doesn't require the situation to change first? This is where most people get uncomfortable. Because if relief isn't coming from the outside, then where is it coming from? And what does that mean for everything we've been doing? Let's slow this down. Relief doesn't mean the problem disappears. It doesn't mean the situation becomes okay. It doesn't mean you suddenly like what's happening. Relief means the internal pressure eases, even a little. And that easing happens when attention shifts. Not away from the experience, but towards it. Most of us have learned to move away from experience, especially when it hurts. We distract, we analyze, we explain, we fix. And interestingly, we do the same thing with joy. When something feels good, we often cut it short. We don't want to jinx it. We don't want to lose it. We don't want to depend on it. So we stay guarded there too. Which means we rarely stay fully with any experience for very long. This brings us to a different way of orienting. Not a technique, not a practice, not a mindset. A reorientation. What if your role isn't to solve the experience? What if it's simply to meet it? Meeting an experience doesn't mean indulging it. It doesn't mean amplifying it. It doesn't mean turning it into identity. It means letting it be felt without immediately handing authority over to the situation. This is where something important becomes available. Choice. Not the kind of choice that fixes things, the kind of choice that orients you. You get to decide where your attention goes. You get to decide whether you abandon yourself while waiting for something else to change. You get to decide how much authority the situation has over your inner life. This doesn't happen all at once. It often happens in very small moments. A pause before explaining. A breath before reacting. A willingness to stay with the sensation a few seconds longer than usual. Not to make it go away, just to be with it. And when that happens, something shifts. Not dramatically, not permanently, but enough. Enough to feel a little more settled. Enough to feel a little more here. Enough to remember that you are not powerless inside your own experience. This doesn't mean you stop talking. It means you know why you're talking. It doesn't mean you stop trying to change things. It means you don't make your well-being contingent on success. It doesn't mean you accept what hurts. It means you stop abandoning yourself while it hurts. This is the part most of us were never taught. That relief is not something we earn by fixing the world. It's something we allow by staying present with ourselves. If this feels unfamiliar, that makes sense. If part of you resists it, that also makes sense. These habits keep you functional. They keep you moving. They've helped you survive. Nothing has gone wrong. You don't need to do anything with this. You don't need to apply it. You don't need to remember it perfectly. You don't need to change how you live. Simply noticing where you've been looking for relief and what happens when you stop outsourcing it is already enough. I'll leave you with this, not as instruction, just as a remembering. You get to decide, and that's worth returning to.